Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you happen to be listening to this. I'm including you today in my staycation at a lovely resort hotel. Now, it's only a couple blocks from my house, which is funny that I'm so close to home and I'm here. There is a magic to having time by yourself. And maybe it won't be in a luxury hotel. Maybe it'll be 5 minutes with the perfect piece of chocolate. I'm Wonder Wendy, the imperfect prophet. We're going to talk about taking time for yourself today. I had a yoga instructor who used to regularly remind us during class that even on an airplane, they put on your oxygen mask first. Otherwise, you can't help others. I want you to learn how to put on your oxygen mask so you can better help others. Remember that. It may seem a little bit selfish at first if you haven't been practicing it. I know it took me a long time to realize that I was a better mom when I wasn't always focused on my kids. You know what? Your kids need room to breathe. And that's whether they're 2 or 42. And I've seen them at all stages. And sometimes you need to step back and give them room. And when you're doing that, do the same for yourself because you will be a much nicer person when you get back to them. I promise. Now, sometimes staying in a resort isn't within the budget or the timeline or any number of things. So when my kids were little, and there were times when there was no extra money in the bank account and no extra time in the schedule, I would sometimes go shut myself into a little room, take a hot bath. I did that this morning too. Lovely, large bathtub. But any bathtub will do, because even a crappy bath is better than no bath. As long as you have warm water, or if you're in a really hot place, you might want cool water. Do what feels best for you. And a nice cup of coffee. I remember one time I was counting every calorie after my daughter Becca was born and trying to get my figure back because I have to admit it, when I was pregnant, I took a maternity test and out came the pint of B&J. And I was not a fit mom, not fit as in an unfit mom, but not fit as in not really taking the best care of myself. And I know that now. So if you happen to be one of the younger people who's not postmenopausal and contemplating getting pregnant, you might want to maintain your fitness goals just a little bit while you're pregnant because you pay for it a lot after. Anyway, so I was counting every calorie. That was the way I was doing calorie counting and trying to put in healthy calories. But I have a deep, dark need for chocolate. Oh, yes, you heard me. Dark chocolate, not 90%, but like 75, 80. Milk chocolate's okay, but dark chocolate, that is my weakness. I would take a few minutes during my daughter's afternoon nap, which thank God there were few, and lay down on the couch, put my feet up, and I had this box of individually wrapped chocolates. Those little ones are about an inch by an inch, and they're very thin. They're a little wafer thin. And I allowed myself one or two of those chocolates. Now, because I knew that was all of my chocolate allotment for the day, I called that sacred space. Laying on the couch, feet up, that's essential. It helps your body rebalance everything. It's an amazing thing. And then I would slowly nibble on that delicious piece of chocolate. That can be a respite. Don't overlook the joy of a good cup of coffee, a small piece of chocolate, whatever it takes, a few minutes of reading, a few minutes of journaling, whatever your poison is, not exactly poison, is whatever your pleasure is, take it to its fullest. And that is part of your mental health journey. Now, I didn't clean up my room. I've got the bathrobe right here on the end table. I'm wearing the hotel slippers, those little indulgences. Surround yourself with little indulgences. Have a favorite pair of slippers that when you put them on, you feel relaxed and happy. Have a favorite bathrobe. There's nothing better than just shuffling around in your little bathrobe for a little bit. Enjoy your life. That's what it is to be a bucket lister. Remember, living wonder every day and finding wonder in the small things. Now, I didn't plan on having a night alone in a room, to be honest with you. I came here with a girlfriend. We did a work project yesterday. And when that's ready, you'll probably hear more about it. We worked for hours. It was great. It was quiet. There was nobody interrupting us. We went out to dinner. Then we came back to the room and did a little more work. And then she had something she had to attend to at home and ended up not spending the night. So here I am, spread out all over the room. And when I'm done with this, I'm going to load up the car and go there's a couple blocks home. Yes, I brought so much stuff. I had to take the car, which is embarrassing because often my walking path at night takes me by this very resort. But I brought food and I brought beverages and an assortment of beverages. As I'm a big fan of beverages, I will not tell you what you need to drink and what you should be having. But I'm a big fan of staying hydrated. I've already had a couple bottles of water. I know this is coffee. Coffee is not hydrating. We've heard it over and over again. And my friend Stacy might know that there's a magic ingredient in my coffee. Just a little skitch of whiskey. I don't do that every day, I promise. Usually I do it when I'm traveling with my friend Stacy. But this morning it felt like the right indulgence to start off the day. Just that little kiss, and that's perfect for me. And maybe your poison in the morning is tea or carbonated beverage, whatever it is. Stay hydrated, but also enjoy your pleasures. And that's the message here today. Small pleasures make a huge difference in life. And if you're not enjoying them, then they're just gluttony. So if you open a large box of chocolates and eat till you feel sick, that is not enjoyment. That is, well, gluttony. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your body. And don't do that to your brain, because your brain starts to equate too much as the right thing. Our brains we haven't even begun to figure out how our brains work. They are the most elaborate computer device ever created. They're feeding on what's in your gut. Believe it or not, what is in your stomach is helping to control your brain. And I know that sounds weird. And when I first started, it blew my mind. But the microbiome is the official word in your gut. And I've had this explained to me. I am not a medical or a science person, so please know and validate the facts. But whatever is in your gut is telling your brain, ooh, I like this, I want more of it. Or, ooh, I don't like this, I don't want more of it. And it's going to color how you behave. That's the whole basis of sugar addiction, which addiction's a tough word on sugar, but it's sugar conditioning. If you eat a lot of sugar, your brain starts to get fed sugar vibes. It gets really excited by sugar. And then it starts telling your gut, ooh, yeah, your gut and your brain are going back and forth saying, we need more sugar. So actually, the more sugar you eat, the more sugar you're going to want. Again, you cross that boundary between indulgence and decadence and then to gluttony. So help your brain recondition. Did you know, speaking of sugar, in colonial America, they used pumpkin puree as a sweetener because sugar was very difficult and expensive to get, especially in that whole snafu before the revolution when the British were taxing the heck out of everything and running blockades. It was virtually impossible to get sugar. So people needed to find sources of sweetness for their cooking. Now, if you've ever tasted pumpkin puree, to our American palate, it would not say sweetness at all. Not at all. And that tells you how conditioned your brain has become to look for uber sweetness. So start backing it up. Use a little bit less sugar every day until you start to actually enjoy it again instead of being addicted to it. You might even have some symptoms. I have found when I cut back on my sugar, I'm feeling grumpy for a few days until my body bounces back. It's the same thing when you're withdrawing from caffeine. I've never had an alcohol addiction. I presume that's the same. It's not the same, but a level of withdrawal, enjoying yourself. Sometimes less is more, and sometimes more is fabulous. But when it starts becoming a hunger or a craving that rules your life, that's a dangerous place to be. I want you to back up to the point where you're finding pleasure and a little scooch of something. A scooch, I'm using my fingers to indicate a teeny tiny little bit. And scooch is a word I grew up with, and I don't know if you did, so I'm going to add that to your vocabulary. Have a little scooch of something and enjoy it. Have you ever gone to a 12-course dinner? And I realize that is not everybody's jam. It is a real mind shift for the American way of eating, to sit there and slowly eat 12 courses. And here I am talking about decadence, and you're probably thinking, 12 courses, Wendy, that's got to be decadent. And I will assure you, you will be full by the end. But when they first bring those courses out, oftentimes it's one spoon, and they call that an amuse-bouche. It delights the mouth. That's French for delights the mouth. And that little amuse-bouche, you're like, oh, that was yummy. But it has all these different flavors that play, and you're really tasting those flavors. The goal of the chef, which I am no chef, is what they call umami, hitting all 5 senses. So it is an extreme pleasure overload in one bite. And then you're like, I'm still starving. I just had that one little bite. And then a little while later, if you're in a good place, the waiter appears with another beautifully decorated plate. And it may be this huge plate with one little dollop of food in the middle. Once again, in the best of restaurants, that will be another pleasurable flavor journey. And this happens over and over again. Now, at the really high end, 12-course meals, you may also have beverage pairings, and it can take 3 or 4 hours. This is not for everybody, but it will be a sensory pleasure. And by the time those 3 or 4 hours are done, you are thinking, I can't eat another bite. That was so pleasurable because your body has time to absorb it and enjoy it. So again, step back from our American decadence and enjoy your food in a different way. Take a bite and savor those flavors. Even if you're eating a casserole and you have a bowl of casserole in front of you, pretend it's a 12-course meal. Take one bite. What did I taste? What did I enjoy? Do I really want more of this? And let it sit there. Then take a breath. Think about what you just ate, and then eventually have another bite. If you're shoveling, again, you're moving into American gluttony. That is not going to validate your pleasure centers. That gluttony of shoveling food into your face is not going to feed the pleasure center in the brain. And I'm talking about even a hot dog. I'm a hot dog snob, to be perfectly honest with you. I do not want that weenie that's been rolling on a conveyor belt for the last 3 hours waiting for someone to come eat it. I will, that will never touch my lips. But a well-prepared hot dog with interesting toppings, ketchup, interesting, no ketchup, mustard, relish for this girl. It is potato salad and mustard or sauerkraut and mustard. And I've had the most fun this year at the Diamondbacks games. There's a place called Big Dogs, and every home stretch, they have a hot dog created for the opposing team. So it honors the cultural heritage of wherever the visiting team is from. Some of them are nothing I want because there's too many jalapenos. I can only eat so many jalapenos. I'm sorry, I'm 58 years old apparently. My digestive system does not like jalapenos anymore. Some of them have had incredible creations. There was one, I think it was for the Milwaukee Brewers, had these fried cheese curds on top and some other stuff. Oh, that was amazing. There was another one that had macaroni and cheese and barbecue sauce. Needed more barbecue sauce, but the idea was really sound. So it doesn't have to be 12-course, $350 meals. Yes, there are tasting menus out there that are $350 to $450 per person, often before the alcohol is added. That's crazy. You can't do that very often. But if you get the chance to do it, and you're a foodie like me, do it. But know that it's going to be a slow tasting experience, and it will change your relationship to food. And that's the important thing. I want you to change your relationship with all of your activities so that you're living a wonderful bucket-list life. Be full of wonder at every bite you eat. If it doesn't taste good and it's not pleasing you, and you're not starving to death in the desert, don't eat it. Say to somebody, this isn't worth the calories. Make it go away. And just enjoy the food you eat. Now, granted, there are times you are hungry. That's all that's being offered. You need to eat it. But you don't have to fill up on it. Just eat enough to get through. Or maybe travel with a bag of nuts in your car if you can eat nuts. Because I realize a lot of people have nut sensitivities these days, which is crazy to me. And maybe if you have a nut sensitivity, you should travel with beef jerky. Or if you're a vegetarian, you should travel with soy nuts. Whatever it is, have something in your pocket. I didn't mean to be talking about dieting today because it's really not about dieting. It's about enjoying the food you eat, which, believe it or not, when you start to do that, it will affect your diet. Your brain will like that you're eating better. Your body will like that you're eating better. So keep enjoying every single bite, every single sip, and don't waste your time on things that aren't worth your time or worth your brain or worth your body. Do you want to be carrying bad food on your hips for the rest of your life? And I guess this kind of transfers to other things in your life. If you're doing things that aren't bringing you pleasure, and everybody's got to clean a toilet now and then. I'm sorry. Yes, even I clean toilets. Not willingly, but I don't like seeing a dirty toilet, so I clean it if it needs to be cleaned. There are things we have to do, but you have to do things that bring you pleasure. Are you going to be miserable? And I don't want you to be miserable. I want you to be full of wonder. I remember when I was in college, I had a cashier job for the summer at a local retail chain, which is no longer in existence. It's a discount store, but general purpose Target before there was Target. So it was another brand, like I say, that's gone. And I worked there for evenings because that was the shift they had the most difficulty filling because a lot of the employees were moms and other people who wanted their evenings to themselves. And oftentimes in the evening, the store's dead, but somebody had to stand at that register so that if a customer came up, they could check out. So I was that person. My happy nature made it such that I frequently was humming to myself and dancing. Just do, 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 keeping my body active because just standing there actually got very tiring and sore. You're on concrete floors. That dream job of my life? Definitely not. Glad I'm not doing it anymore. But I didn't have to be miserable when I was doing it. And some of the other people I worked with, which were largely women, were miserable. And they couldn't understand how I could sing to myself and dance just standing there. And I couldn't understand how they didn't. How did they stay sane when that was their job, their job, the thing that paid the rent, the thing that put clothes on their kids' back, that put gas in their cars, that paid for their cars? That was what they had, and they were miserable. I want you to have dreams, even if you are standing as a cashier on a concrete floor. I want you, remember the advanced yoga pose we keep talking about? Raise the corners of your mouth and smile and get your brain to go, wow, let's release some endorphins. No matter what you're doing, try and do it with a smile and try and be the best you can be. Try to think of a time when it wouldn't be appropriate to do a smile. I guess if you're a mortician, there are times you're working with clients that smiling might seem inappropriate. So don't do that. But you're giving comfort to people if you're a mortician or funeral home director. Probably the mortician doesn't talk to clients. It's been a while since I buried anybody. That came out completely wrong. Anyway, we've talked about it. I'm talking it to death. Pleasures. Big pleasures, little pleasures. Maybe you could do a staycation in the guest bedroom and tell your husband, I'm going to go pretend I'm at a spa. Leave me alone. And put on a facial mask and put on some bougie slippers, really fuzzy slippers, and tell the world to go away. Put on your headset, tune them out, and have a staycation in your guest bedroom. And if you don't have a guest bedroom, try and find a space to do that. Go out on the patio and say, leave me alone. I'm somewhere at a spa in Venice. I don't know. Make it up. Whatever is your dream, have that dream. Live a wonderful life, no matter what it is you're doing. And I hope one of these days you win a raffle and get a staycation in a gorgeous hotel. And that's wonderful. Oh, by the way, you won't win raffles if you don't enter. But don't spend all your money on raffles. Save for that vacation and do it for yourself. So I'm Wonder Wendy. I'm your host on The Imperfect Profit. Please join me on my Facebook page, The Wonder-Full Bucket List Life. Tell me where you found personal pleasure and carved out a little bit of happiness in your life. Or you can go to my webpage, WonderWendyandFriends, all spelled out.com. You can talk to me there and go to my social media links. Tell me what you are doing to live a wonderful bucket list life, because it's the only way to live. Takes everything you're doing and makes it a little bit better. So my lovelies, I have to check out of this gorgeous room and get home and start living my normal life again. But it's still going to be wonderful because I can think about the time I had here, a wonderful bath, a wonderful cup of coffee, and a wonderful view Take care, y'all, and stay hydrated. Bye bye.